This portion of our training, I'm going to show you the differences in the types of cover, and for the video clip this morning, I'm showing you the three different types of the same hose carcass. These are three different part numbers that we have in our line of literally the same SAE spec 100R2, which is 2-wire braid. Same pressure rating, everything's the same except the cover and the type of cover curing method used. So the very first one I'm showing you is a 50/20 100R2. Again, that's the SAE designation for it, size 6, 3/8 of an inch. It has an MSHA cover, which means that it is a flame resistant cover. It will not support a flame once the flame source is removed. It self-extinguishes it basically. And it has a number assigned by the Mine Safety Health Administration as IC-304. So a different cover would have a different number, a different manufacturer is going to have a different code. So all these are basically manufacturing dependent. So this is what is called a wrap cured cover. And you see a finish on the outside that looks like it's got tape on the outside, like this was maybe the cover was spirally applied. Well, that's actually not the case. The cover is applied either through extrusion or it could be wrapped on, but you wouldn't see this kind of marks on it. Those are actually the impressions of the curing tape that goes on the outside. Wrap curing of hose implies that you wrap the hose after it is completely built, it's still in a green state before cure. You apply nylon tape that's actually slightly wet, and then it's tightly wound around it in a spiral fashion. That goes onto a reel that goes into an autoclave and gets cured. Once it's cured, they take the tape off, and basically that tape has become a mold to show that impression of fabric on the outside. There is no fabric on this cover. It's just a mold impression from the nylon tape. This type of curing has been done forever, probably since the very first hoses were built. It's a good way to do it. A lot of manufacturers still use it. Makes a great hose. In my opinion, it's maybe to my personal preference on how you build a hose, because I think it puts a little more pressure during the curing cycle. The nylon tape actually shrinks down slightly, compressing the hose carcass a little tighter than some of the other methods. So that's called a wrap cured finish. We have that on a lot of our hoses. We have it, in this case I'm showing you 100R2. That same hose carcass, before it gets wrapped with the nylon curing tape, can also be cured with what's called a sheath cure process. Plastic is extruded over the outside of the green hose once it's finished, as far as its building portion of its manufacture, and that plastic provides a very smooth finish on the inside surface of the plastic that's against the hose carcass. Goes on the same reels that was mentioned earlier on the wrap cure, goes in the same autoclave, gets cured in the same process. Once it's cured, it comes out. It's actually run through a slitter that barely cuts the outer surface of the thermoplastic sheath, not all the way through down to the rubber, but just leaves a tiniest amount of plastic left. They basically split that by hand, get started, and then the whole thing goes through a machine that strips that cover off. It gets reground and reused, but it leaves a very shiny, smooth finish on the outside. Some people prefer that, and that's really the reason when we introduced our hydraulic line at Jason, we offered both. The hoses perform the same. This is 50/21, and the other one was 50/20. Same materials are used, same carcass of the hose, like I said, just preferences in how you make the hose, and we actually make this in both methods. So Parker, for example, makes a lot of their hose with smooth cover. Gates makes some of their hoses with smooth cover, and they also have some with wrap cover. So it just basically comes down to what the manufacturing technology and equipment that is employed and that particular manufacturer prefers, as far as maybe a cost issue too as well. So both are available. And then we just recently introduced a higher abrasion resistant cover, which we're calling Dream Shield technology cover. Has about 8 times the wear resistance of these standard covers, and it also has an MSHA number as well. This actually again shows a different number. The old one that I mentioned, or the first one I showed you, was 304, This is now 304/01. So it's a different version of the material, has a different number of approval, still flame resistant. In fact, on the the hoses that we've been making over the past year, we've added the term flame resistant, and that was due to demand of some of the people in the oil field areas using our hose. Some of the competitors had the term flame resistant on there. In the past, that never was a requirement. Really, this is the flame resistance rating, and most people understood that, but they like to see the term flame resistant on there. So we've added that to all of our hoses that have flame resistant covers. The Dream Shield technology cover is available today in this particular series of hoses, 5022. The last digit, the 2, designates a Dream Shield technology, the higher abrasion resistant cover. And we could do it in a smooth cover, but that's not what we're offering at this point. We're offering just the wrap cured, and I think that's probably the way it will remain. We've got this same cover in other series hoses we'll talk about later. We just introduced 5192, which I'll show in a different segment of video. So those are the 3 types of covers of rubber cover that we've got. I'll throw this last one in as just to show a difference. This is actually a 100R5 hose. Different construction. It has a textile cover, so that's another option. And some of the other hydraulic hoses of competitors sometimes have a textile cover. Textile covers have good abrasion resistance characteristics because it has a very low coefficient of friction. So it's just a different way of making the products. So typically these get reusable couplings, or you can use crimp couplings on them, but actually I've taken this off of a reusable that I had installed earlier, so you can kind of see how that gripped the cover. But textile cover is another way to do it. It is also wrap cured as well, you just can't see the wraps when they pull them off on the textile. It doesn't have the characteristics of taking on the texture of the nylon cure tape.